Alright guys, here we go. Orcs versus Orcs. Game 1 of Grow Quest. I've got my grudge match against Matt. The little scenario here, you get 1 battle point for every unit of 5 or more models that you put in an enemy deployment zone. You get 2 if you have no enemy units or 5 or more models in your deployment zone, and you can get 1 for killing the enemy general. So Ben basically made this to force people to act on whether units get in their deployment zones. And it won't be a situation where I can put 5 wolf fighters in his deployment zone. He won't. I think no, don't bother him, and I'll let you put 5 in mine. We have to try to take care of them because we'll lose battle points if we just let them sit in our deployment zone. Okay, so here's another look at my army. Is basically he's gonna have a lot of big bosses, so I've got to whittle down his big unit. So I'm gonna have to be a little bit defensive to start off with. Plus he's got two big. He's gonna have 2 big monsters. So I can't just charge headlong in like I basically want to. Also, I've got a little. If I don't know if Ben and Tom are going to put the story in their next podcast, but I've got like a little story about my army, and basically I'm seeing how many times Butt Stallion's going to die during this tournament. So keep track of that. And here's his army. He has the Black Orc Warlord. It's going to have full plus armor and ward, and he's got the Crown of Command. I think that's really like 2.5 comp points basically that he's losing for having that. But basically, it's going to mean that I really can't deal with that big unit because it's going to have 10 big bosses, the BSB, the Warlord, and a Shaman in that one unit. So unless I can get some foot of Gorks on that unit, whittle it down, I can't really deal with it even with the Savages because he's going to strike before me. He's going to have tons of poison attacks. I could lose a whole lot of savages before I could even strike. I mean, he would beat me over time unless I can whittle that unit down. And he's also, for his Storm Magic monster, he's going to have the Bell Taurus. Now this thing, you have to reroll wounds, and we checked to make sure that's what you had to do because the Storm Magic just said it was -1 to wound, but the Rata says reroll wounds. So it's going to be very difficult to wound this thing. So again, like I said, I cannot just charge in, and it's got fire attacks, so I can't just put my trolls up against it either. Here's a first look at his deployment, and you can see we're on table 2, the big boy table. This is the table you basically have to stand up, because it's raised up much higher than the other tables. And this actually has the most terrain, I think, of any table I played on. It's got the big fence all the way down the middle. It's got a river. It's got a building, a couple hills, and some forests and stuff. Basically, he's almost castled up here. It's a gigantic unit of night goblins there. I've got my savages facing opposite it, but I'm going to be very cautious and not just going up in there and take care of it. Basically, I'm going to try to get Duke of Orc around the left flank here and try to get it back there, and then I'll try to make my move. And here we're looking at my side of the table, my deployment. And I kind of got the spotter here because he has a 2+ ward versus Flamin'. I'm kind of hoping I can get that versus the Bell Taurus for a while. Hold that Bell Taurus up. And here's a wider view of the deployment. And I've got foot and hand of Gork, but I don't have Ere We Go. So that's another negative I'm going to have because I really want to be able to reroll hits. But I'm not going to be able to do that. But I do have foot, and that's much more important. I need to get several foots on that big unit. Here's a look at the right side vanguards. I don't vanguard my wolf riders because if I can get the first turn, I want to be able to charge his wolf riders, get them off the table, or just so that his spiders would have to try to take care of my mangler and not his wolf riders, just because the spiders equal points to this mangler. I have vanguarded over here. He doesn't vanguard his wolves. He vanguards the spiders. Mainly, I'm thinking because I have Duke of Orc over here that I can slingshot Duke of Orc much farther if he's charging me, and then I can get a point where I can random move into his wolves because I might die, and then I get the overrun since he has to be Duke of Orc pretty much has to beat wolves, and I'll get a lot more movement if I can do that. Alright, so he does win first turn. He charges his wolves here into my wolves. I decided to hold because, like you can see Duke there, he's planning to try to get the slingshot effect. Here's the thing I need to mention. He does not get poison from one of his spells. When he rolls, it's almost impossible for him not to get poisoned with 5 spells. He doesn't roll any doubles at all on both his shamans, so he has every spell other than poison, and that's a big win for me. That means no poisons on 5-ups. I'm very, very happy about that. Then when he goes into shooting, He puts both Doom Divers on my gigantic spider. Only one hits, and it only does one wound, so my gigantic spider is living. And so in the combat, as you've already guessed, he does beat up my wolf riders and runs them down. I've killed 2 of his wolf riders, so those wolves of his can't claim deployment. And I'm going to slingshot now my Duke of Orc. On the other side, he moves his wolf riders past my wolves over there and towards the river. And he's just got his spiders basically up because he doesn't want to move up too much because my trolls will be able to charge them. I think the only other thing of note this turn is that he tries his rock lava on Duke of Orc and it scatters off. So now we have my turn 1, and you can already see Duke of Orc has slingshot way across the table. I go into the wolves, he can't flee. I have my pump wagon go backwards because I don't want that pump wagon to be out where he can charge it with his spiders or something and wipe it out easily. I'm trying to use it to be a little bit more defensive for right now. I move my wolves away from his wolves up here because I figure at this point he's probably going to land his wolves onto my mangler, and then I don't have to worry about them, and I'm going to use my wolves to try to claim the deployment zone on his side. I mean, he might have to shoot Doom Divers at my wolves to get his battle points back, but I'd rather Doom Divers be shooting at wolves than anything else. Other than that, I've got my gigantic spider behind the building, and he can charge it with his spiders, but I think I'll still win that fight. And I'm mostly cautious with the rest of my guys. I'm staying out of shooting range on his guys. I won't. Right now, I think it's a march in order to get up. Like, it's just another closer look at my move here, and I think he has to march now to get into range, so he wouldn't be able to shoot me for another turn. And here's a close-up at his side after my magic and shooting. I do get a foot of Gork, really irresistible, onto his unit. I put it so he's touching 5 of his big bosses, but it scatters 2 inches back so it doesn't touch any big bosses. I think I kill 10 or so night goblins, but then the spell goes away. So I only get 1 good stomp. I needed more than 1 good stomp. I shoot my spear chuckers at his Beltaurus. I do nothing, and if you've already seen, Duke of Orc wipes out those wolf riders and just shoots on up. Now we're looking at his turn 2. His wolf riders on the far side of that table, they're going to fail animosity and be forced to charge my trolls. When they get to this river, 3 of them are going to die. They don't panic, but 3 of them have died just at the river already, and he's going to fail the charge, and he's still going to be in the middle of the river. So that's very bad. Now, for his magic, he's also got his spiders up here to try to redirect my Duke of Orc, but that's good for me because, again, I'm a slingshot behind his lines. I think he's trying to protect his Doom Diver over here, and I'm not really worried about the Doom Diver. I want to get Duke of Orc around there to where his Great Shaman is. Alright, so when we go into magic again, he doesn't really have much because he doesn't have a lot of offensive magic, and he doesn't have the poison, so there's not much I'm very worried about. I think he tries to do a Vindictive Glare on Duke of Orc, and it does nothing. Going to shooting, 1 Doom Diver is trying to shoot on my Mangler. It misfires and destroys itself. The other Doom Diver is going to land on my gigantic spider and kill it. His rock lava misfires and can't shoot this or next turn. Now for the combats, his Ragnarok had charged my wolf chariot. He needed a 10 to make it, so I just hold. He hits the chariot. He makes that charge on the chariot, destroys the chariot, and he overruns and stops. But he does stop about 2 inches in front of my Doom Diver, so he does not make it into that Doom Diver. Now right here, this is going to show you what happens to his pump wagon. He tries to pump harder because he's trying to get it to my Duke of Orc, and he rolls double 1s. Now, for pump wagons, if you roll double 1s, you have to move in a random direction. So this is his random direction roll. He rolls double 1s again. If we look it up, his pump wagon just destroys itself by rolling double 1s twice. Now my turn 2. I charge my trolls at his spiders. They flee. My wolves up there on the other side of the river, they have failed animosity just like his. So I'm forced to charge his wolf riders. So I'm not going to be able to get them into his deployment zone. I have to charge across the river. And oh god, I think I killed 1 or 2 going across the river. And he's forced to flee again, and he has 1 guy die going into the woods. So I passed my panic, and we're both across the river. It's terrible. Okay, and Duke of Orc, it just moves on into those spotters. I only have my Savage moved up to stay barely out. I'm just like a millimeter or two past 18 inches. I want him to be forced to move his horde here in order to shoot at me. And I'm still having to worry about that Beltaurs. I don't want that gigantic unit and the Beltaurs and this Arachnarok to hit me at the same time. Now, for my magic and everything, I'm trying to put a Gork onto his Arachnarok. I don't get any damage done. I try to shoot my shooting. Again, I'm trying just to whittle down that Arachnarok a little bit so that if he does charge into me before everybody else gets there, maybe my war boss can kill it. But I'm not able to do any wounds to that Arachnarok at all. My Duke of Orc, of course, he wipes out those spotters. He overruns, but he doesn't overrun so much. But I'm still in a perfect position where we're having a standoff here. We've had monsters in each other's backfields, and at some point we decide, does anybody want to turn to face those monsters? So his turn 3, that's what he does. He turns to face my Duke of Orc with his big shooting unit. And he's going to have a lot of shots at poisoning me, and that's what's scary because I have no save. He went ahead and charges the Ragnarok into my Doom Diver. His Beltaurus moves up to be in front of my trolls, and we're going into magic again. He shoots another, I think, Vindictive Glare at me. I stop it, and no, I think he gets it. I think he gets it with Irresistible Force. He winds up wounding his level 1 Night Goblin Shaman, but he doesn't do any. He doesn't roll any 6s, and he doesn't wound my Duke of Orc. So you probably put another. He can't shoot his rocket over this turn. I don't know where his Doom Diver shoots. I think it shoots all the way across. Yeah, it shoots all the way across it. My Mangler and destroys it. His spotters flee off the table. His other wolves keep fleeing and stay barely on the back of the table there. Now when he got his big thing of poison attacks going at my Duke of Orc, and I think he only does 1 wound to my Duke of Orc. I'm very, very fortunate. His Arachnarok destroys my Doom Diver and reforms. And so now I've maybe facing the Beltaurs and a Ragnarok at the same time. I got to decide what I'm going to do about this. Now my turn 3, if I roll like a 10, I can make it to his guys and clip them. But if they're stubborn, he'll then get his Ragnarok into my rear probably. I don't think that's very, very good, and it's a chance I can still fail it. And if I fail it, then he can get into my front with his big unit and my rear with his Ragnarok. I don't want that to happen, so I'll go ahead and test and reform here to face his Ragnarok. Duke of Orc has a choice. He can either go into that big horde and try to, assassinate some characters before I die, or go into this bunker where he's got his level 3. I decided to go into the bunker so I can try to assassinate that level 3. And I don't charge my trolls because I know he's got flaming attacks, and I would rather at this point his Beltaurs charge my trolls instead of charging my savages. So when I go into magic again, I'm trying to do something to that spotter. I don't do anything. However, I have a Spear Chucker that does hit and wound his Beltaurs. I need to re-roll that wound, and I roll it, and I get another. I wound it again, and I do 2 wounds. So I do have it. I was hoping to get 3 wounds, get it half points, but I've wounded it twice. So now maybe I have a chance when it comes in to be able to do those last 3 wounds. Okay, so now we have the combat. Duke of Orc comes in, and I don't get a lot of attacks. So basically, I put all my attacks on his Great Shaman. I kill it, and I Thunder Stomp. He still steadfastly he holds. And now at this point, he's probably going to charge in my flank, but that's fine with me because I don't want him moving towards my big horde. I'd rather him try to kill Duke of Orc here. His turn 4, he does charge Duke of Orc. He charges the Ragnarok at my Savage Horde, and he charges the Beltaurus at my Savage Horde. So I'm going to be facing those 2 big monsters. Magic isn't much for him. His Doom Diver shoots at my Pump Wagon but doesn't hit it or destroy it. So the big thing here is let's look at this combat. Now, I only roll I think like 7 attacks for Duke of Orc, so I'm tempted to put them all at his Great Shaman. I mean his Great War Boss here, and try to kill it, but I'm gonna hit on fives. I'm only gonna be strength five because of his nets. He's got a 4+ ward, so I'm probably only gonna do one wound. So I try to assassinate characters, and even putting attacks on regular characters, I only do one wound to each of two big bosses. So I don't do much of all with Duke of Orc, and all his poison attacks come back in. He kills Duke of Orc, and he just reforms. So that's disappointing. But Duke of Orc has took out a lot of stuff, so he's done his job. All right, so this is crazy. Here's the big fight with the two monsters. Now my war boss is up against his Ragnarok, so I can't move it over to his Beltors, which is probably fine because I don't like rerolling to wound. So we're striking simultaneously. He tries to attack my war boss, and he does nothing. I think he just puts poison surge on my war boss, so it does nothing, and the rest of his attacks at my savages. Now my war boss comes in and does about, I think, 3 wounds, and my savages do another 3 wounds to his Ragnarok. Actually, I roll and I do 6 wounds, but he makes 3 sixes, so he saves. I think he rolls enough sixes so that with his armor save, where he saves it, where he has 2 wounds left on his Ragnarok. So I almost killed that Ragnarok outright. Now the Beltors, you see the Beltors isn't there. What happened to the Beltors? Well, the Beltors comes in, it does a bunch of wounds. I've got 3 savages and my shaman. Alright, so I roll my savages. They do 3 wounds. The Beltors is dead. But wait, I have to re-roll those wounds. I re-roll, I still get 2 wounds. Here comes my shaman. Shaman gets 1 hit. He needs a 60 wound. He rolls it. I gotta re-roll it. I re-roll it, another 6. My lowly level 1 Savage Orc Shaman has killed a Beltors. Alright, so my turn 4. My shooting and magic again are inconsequential. I just can't get those stomps on his horde. And it's kind of running to the point where I'm not going to really probably be able to gauge that horde. So basically it's combat. I finish off the Ragnarok. He puts all his attacks into my war boss since they're attacking at the same time. He does 1 wound to me, and I'm able to kill the Ragnarok, and I just reform. And now I'm basically, he's got to try to engage me, and I have to try to hold back to keep him from charging me. Because at this point, I have lost my frenzy because I lost that last combat where I was fighting the Beltors and the thing. I can't take on these Night Goblins anymore, so I have to stay out of the combat with them. Now his turn 5, he gets the itchy nuisance off on my savages. The worst thing that can happen. They're only movement 1, so right now he's I think 10 inches away. He needs a 10 on the charge. He's like 14 inches away to make the charge. So I have to do something to get away from him for at least another turn. So my turn 5, I'll go ahead and move my wolf fighters up to try to slow him down. My trolls actually pass stupidity, so I march way up. Right now I'm about 1.5 inches out of his deployment zone in order to capture a battle point right here. Now I have itchy nuisance on my savages, so I don't know. I want to get my characters out of this unit, and if I march 2 inches, I can get them into my bunker. But then I really can't move any because I'm only 1 inch behind. My savages are only the bunker's only 1 inch behind the savages, so the savages aren't going to be able to move. So I have to really depend on getting Hand of Gork off in my magic phase. I do it. I miscast, so I do a wound to my Great Shaman where now I think I've taken 2 wounds on my Great Shaman, so he's going to get half points for that. But the important thing is I'm going to give my savages away so that he can't engage them. I've saved their points, and I basically saved the game for me. Now his turn 6, he's going to charge my Wolf Riders, and they're going to have to flee, and they're basically going to flee off the table. And, if I had known I'd get Hand of Gork off, I wouldn't have had them up there. So I'm going to lose those Wolf Riders, but I couldn't depend on getting Hand of Gork off. Now he's going to move his level 2 out, and I thought this level 2 had itchy nuisance, but it doesn't. This one has the big template spell and the I thought he had Vindictive Glare, but he didn't. It was the level 3 that shot that in my Duke of Orc earlier on. So he has itchy nuisance and the template. So he's gonna have to move this guy out here to put a template. Hopefully he can get that template in front of my troll, so when they fail stupidity, they won't be able to get in his deployment zone. Now on this picture of my turn 6, you're going to see he does get that template, but it scatters off my trolls, and it lands about 3 inches in front of them. So as long as I roll a 2 for stupidity, which I do, I'm going to be in his deployment zone. So I'm able to get them in his deployment zone. But this is something he had to do because, like I said, he would lose battle points if I get in his deployment zone. So it's a very neat thing about this scenario. It forces you to react to people. Otherwise, he could just ignore that and just let me get the battle point. But he's going to lose 2 battle points by me getting there. Now, he not much else he can do. I mean, not as much else I can do. I have 1 Doom Diver left. I'm like, oh, well, I'll just shoot into his bunker because I know this is a close game. So if I can penetrate his bunker, they're away from his general. They'll flee off the table. He's like, don't do it. You can only hurt yourself. Guess what happens? I misfire. I blow my Doom Diver up. Is it going to hurt me? Spoilers. It does. So we add this up and it's a draw. You need 251 to win. I win by 212. That 80-point Doom Diver blowing up on turn 6 cost me the 11-9 victory. Oh, okay. But it was still a very close game. Now I get 2 battle points because he has nothing but 5 or more models in my deployment zone. I get another one because I have my trolls in his deployment zone, and there's still 7 of them left. So I'm going to get +3. He's going to get 0. This was a very fun game. It was really close. My MVP is my Savage Orc level 1 Shaman. It kills a Bell Taurus. He's a 6 and a 6 again. You can't say anything other than that. That was just incredible. Also, I forgot my pump wagon at some point does go into his last Doom Diver and destroy that. I completely forgot about that. But this was an awesome game. It was real fun. I wish I could have got a few more stomps onto his horde and to try to make a big fight there. But I really couldn't take that on, I don't think, with the poison until I whittled them down. Now let's look at the Butt Stallion death tally. He dies this game. I don't know how he dies. I don't remember what killed him. I have no idea what happened. I just know he dies. Because you probably saw him in my dead pile in the back. I don't have no idea what killed him, but he dies. So he's now died 1 out of 1 game. So I hope you guys enjoyed this game. I'll try to get my game 2 is going to be against Dark Elves. I'll try to get that up soon. And this draw means neither one of us has to leave Warhammer forever, so that's good. I really enjoyed this. See y'all later, and feel free to like or subscribe if you like this, and I'll see y'all guys next time.